All right, that was absolutely massive. The Seattle Seahawks have just given the San Francisco 49ers an early Christmas present. It's Drew Lock, of all people, who drove Seattle downfield against Philadelphia's defense for the go-ahead touchdown. Two deep passes, one to DK Metcalf, the next one to Jackson Smith Najigba, the rookie, beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll say it right now, Philadelphia's defense is trash. And, I could say it again, the 49ers broke the Eagles. That's the big takeaway here. Philadelphia was flying high just 3 games ago. They were winning all these close games. They felt invincible. They thought that even the statistical disadvantage that they had against the San Francisco 49ers could be overcome based on their magic. And then the 49ers blew the doors off of Philadelphia, and the Eagles haven't been the same since. The Eagles have not won since the 49ers thrashed them. They lost to the Cowboys last week, and now they lose to Drew Lock and the Seattle Seahawks. So what does this mean? Well, it means that the 49ers, with this remaining schedule, can lock up the NFC's number one seed as early as next week if some stuff bounces in their favor. The 49ers play Baltimore at home. That's still going to be a huge game, regardless of what happened here with Philadelphia tonight. But now the 49ers have some more margin for error. Then they play at Washington, then they play against the Rams. The 49ers right now are 11-3. Philadelphia drops to 10-4. Dallas is 10-4 as well. And both Dallas and Philly might be a game behind the 49ers in the loss column, but they're effectively 2 games behind because the 49ers beat both the Cowboys and the Eagles. So both of those teams do not hold the tiebreaker over the 49ers. The 49ers hold it over them. So you're looking at San Francisco having to lose twice over the course of their final 3 games. And of course, Baltimore is a team that could beat the 49ers because Baltimore is really good. The 49ers are going to have to bring, I think, at least their B-plus game. The 49ers are really damn good too. But just say that Baltimore beats the 49ers. The fact that the Eagles lost today to Seattle means that all the 49ers would have to do is rebound to beat an inferior Washington team. That's going to be on a short week against the Commanders. So, the 49ers definitely appreciate the breathing room here. And the Rams are playing better football. The Rams are going to be coming to Levi Stadium to close the regular season. One reason why this is really big for the 49ers is that the Eagles' schedule is really easy from here on out. They play the New York Giants at home. They play Arizona at home. And then they go and play the New York Giants on the road. So I think it's really probable that Philadelphia is going to finish this season 3-0, regardless of how bad their defense is. But, Deebo Samuel talked all that smack about James Bradbury, and Bradbury just gave up 2 deep balls to Drew Lock with the game on the line in wet weather in Seattle. Philadelphia's defense, we've been talking about it for a while. It's not a good roster. They're number 22 DVOA defensively. And then, it seems that the 49ers, the blueprint against Jalen Hurts, San Francisco unveiled that Philadelphia got really mad about when Nick Bosa talked about it following that game. Looks like it's a thing. Hurts didn't look good against the Cowboys. He obviously didn't look good against the 49ers. And tonight, they were trying to make it some kind of MJ game, flu game, whatever. They scored 17 points against the Seattle defense that the 49ers routinely light up for 30 plus, maybe even 40 plus sometimes. So Philadelphia is not very good this year. That's just the bottom line. They had their balloon popped by the 49ers. There was, I think, a lot of overinflation with Philadelphia winning those close games early in the season. I'm not going to say that they're as bad as the Vikings were last year. The Vikings ended up being 13-4 with like the number 27 or number 28 DVOA. But this Eagles team, it's a fringe top 10 team at best. They've won a lot of close games, and now that close game luck is catching up to them. So 49ers essentially, it's close. It's not a done deal yet, but this is it's like a playoff win for the 49ers if they can secure the number 1 seed, right? You get the 1 seed, everything goes through Levi's, but most importantly, you get that rest. So, this is a massive, massive result in the 49ers' favor that happened up in the Pacific Northwest. And Philadelphia, boy, they are leaking oil. They are not the same team that they were last year. And you look at the top of the NFC, the Cowboys obviously have some paper tiger to them. They just got annihilated by Buffalo up there in the Northeast. They got annihilated by San Francisco back in week 5. Right now, if you're looking at trajectories in the NFL, with Kansas City also sputtering a little bit on the other side, Buffalo might be the strongest team coming out of the AFC. Can't count out Miami, and you can never count out Patrick Mahomes, but the 49ers are closer than ever to having a clear path at the Super Bowl. I wonder if they've updated the standings, the playoff picture standings. Because if they have, then, that's something that I could toss up on the stage here. It's not like it's changed all that much, but here we go. Playoff picture standings, 49ers won. They haven't changed the Eagles' record yet. The Eagles are going to be 10-4. I don't know who has the tiebreaker between the Eagles and the Cowboys, because they've each won a game. I don't really care that much, but I'm covering the Niners. I'm looking at this from the 49ers perspective. They are in that 1 seed, and they play the other 1 seed. They play the Ravens next week on Monday night. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman already seemed excited to call that game. So Drew Lock beats the Philadelphia Eagles. It was a hell of a game up in Seattle. I will say it looked like two teams that weren't great. And we know that about the Eagles, and we know that about the Seahawks. But I thought that, when you look at the quarterback matchup, Jalen Hurts on one side, you would think that there would be an advantage over Drew Lock, the backup, on the other. And I get it. Geno Smith and Drew Lock, I don't think there's all too much difference between those two QBs on Seattle's side. But Geno Smith is obviously the starter. They had to go to the backup. That gave Philadelphia an edge. But Seattle stayed in the game. They ran the ball. They fell behind 10-0. They kept on running the ball, and they evened it up at 10. I didn't think they had much more than 10 points in them, though. But they kicked that field goal right after the terrible sequence where Pete Carroll actually burned a timeout just to get Philadelphia to be able to challenge a play. That was atrocious coaching on Pete Carroll's part. After that field goal was kicked, it was going to take a touchdown for Seattle to beat Philadelphia. And that's where this came to play. The Eagles' defense is just bad this year. I mean, this was a high-powered pass rush last year that exposed, or not the opposite of exposed, that covered a lot of issues on the back end, on the secondary. And you heard Deebo Samuel talking about it before the Super Bowl. He said that Philadelphia secondary is trash. He called James Bradberry trash. The co-hosts of that show that Deebo Samuel was on were shocked that he would say something like that about the Eagles. And Deebo said, well, it's just the pass rush making them look good. And, the pass rush has lost a little bit of steam with Philadelphia. Teams have found a way to scheme against some of the wide nine stuff that the Eagles are doing. And all of a sudden, this secondary is being exposed big time. And they didn't have Darius Slay today. So that's their best corner. James Bradberry was the corner that Deebo Samuel singled out. Bradberry was in coverage there on that final drive against DK Metcalf on the bomb, and Sidney Jones, the safety, was coming over late. And Bradberry was also in coverage on the touchdown to the rookie out of Ohio State, Jackson Smith-Njigba. So Philadelphia's defense, not good. Drew Lock beats Philadelphia. What a story for Drew Lock. And for the 49ers, well, I think that they broke the Eagles a few weeks ago. Philadelphia was a one-loss team at that point. They're 10-1. They're 0-3 after playing the 49ers. That's tweetable. Let's get that up on Twitter. While you can take a look at what we dealt with yesterday in Arizona. I'm actually going to play that. Let's talk some 49ers right now. I have a little bit of a report from Phoenix that I prepared. I posted this during the game, but it's worth playing right now because I got to send off a few tweets anyway. So enjoy the food from Phoenix. A little look back at the 49ers victory. More 49ers analysis from Brock Purdy's home region, including a look at some of the food, obviously, here from the Phoenix area. But let's talk about Charvarius Ward. Already led the NFL in pass breakups entering this game yesterday. Obviously still leads the NFL in pass breakups now with 20. But he's got those 2 picks to his name now, including the pick 6. So he's got to be an all-pro consideration. I asked Charvarius about it right away when I entered the locker room. So
an all-pro caliber player now because he'd been talking about the need to convert pass breakups to interceptions to actually hold on to the football. And he said solidified. Fred Warner said the same thing, solidified for Charvarius Ward. And, this is a cool story. Ward actually enlisted the help of 49ers backup quarterback Sam Darnold over the course of the week to throw him passes during practice and throw him with some mustard because Ward was upset that he had been dropping potential interception opportunities. And he said the jugs machine is different. Jugs machine, that's got a robotic feel to the passes. You want that live arm throwing them at you. And we know that Sam Darnold has got a live arm. And Ward said that he credits Darnold for helping him train the ability to hold on to these picks. And he's going to be enlisting Sam Darnold's help on a weekly basis moving forward. So that's called a championship mentality. He already led the league in pass breakups. He wanted to improve on that, take it up another level. That's what Charvarius Ward did. We took up the Phoenix area eating another level. Our friends Zach and Jen, first they took us on this cactus hike north of Scottsdale on Saturday. After that, we went to this really cool cocktail bar called the Grey Hen Pharmacy. It's part of a trio of cocktail bars called the Century Grand, and they're speakeasy style. The outside is a nondescript strip mall entrance, which is what a lot of Phoenix looks like. It's a lot of stretched out strip mall, suburbia, you name it. But you walk into this place and you're transported into a different world. One of the three bars is like they have screens on the side of the windows, and the place looks like a train car inside, and it looks like you're on a train ride. We didn't go to that one. We went to the one with a big alligator on the ceiling. It was like this bayou inspired bar, and some of the whiskey drinks in there were really, really damn good. So happy with the Grey Hen, and then really happy with Buckin' Rider, where Zach and Jen took us to dinner after that. You would think, you don't see a sea behind me, so you'd think the seafood wouldn't be great in Phoenix, but they fly it in fresh every day. Buckin' Rider was a hell of a meal. Post-game meal was really interesting too, because it was a repurposed department store called Hanny's in downtown Phoenix. And I needed something that was open late night. And I was crossing town from Glendale all the way back here to Tempe, where I'm on the rooftop right now. And Hanny's, this repurposed department store, had this like lounge-like feel. It was really cool, but an awesome steak sandwich. And then finally I made it out to the Chuck Box here in Tempe. And this place is legendary. The grill, 51 years old. That's about as old as Candlestick Park. And fittingly, it was a couple of Niners fans behind the grill. I compare this place to Sam's on Broadway in San Francisco. You guys know I love Sam's. They got the panorama of Candlestick on the wall in Sam's, but this is just a no bullshit burger. The double cheeseburger off of the old grill. That's why it tastes so good. It's got all that grease built up over time. The Chuck Box was quality. Another key victory for the 49ers as they move ahead to this showdown against the Ravens. This game against Arizona was one that they were supposed to win. They did win it. I don't know if you're ever supposed to put up 45 points in the NFL, but the 49ers put up 40 again. I mean, you want one more Brock Purdy fun fact. 4 touchdowns this season, no interceptions. He's done it 3 times. There's no other NFL quarterback that has done it more than once. Again, Brock Purdy's number 2 all time now with his season as far as adjusted net yards per attempt, which includes interceptions, touchdown passes, all that good stuff. 2004 Peyton Manning is the only season that has been more efficient than Brock Purdy's in that regard. Purdy has passed 2011 Aaron Rodgers. So long from the desert.
So long from the desert indeed. I'm back in San Francisco now. I edited that on the plane. So we're back here. I got a few tweets off talking about the 49ers and the Eagles. And, if we want to put some perspective on where the 49ers are in terms of the rest of the NFL, the Eagles aren't even close to the top 5 of this list, point differential. 49ers exit the weekend with a massive lead, plus 191 in point differential. Dallas slipped a lot because they lost by 21 points. So you took away 21 from Dallas's number here. after that loss in Buffalo. And Baltimore is going to be coming in hot into Levi Stadium next week. But a lot of pressure taken off of Christmas Day for the 49ers. The Dolphins and the Bills, those are your top 5 teams in football. For perspective, Philadelphia, after losing today by 3 points, I think their point differential is under plus 20. I think Philadelphia is going to be plus 18 because I think they were plus 21 before this game. So just wild stuff. The 49ers obviously are NFC West champs. And their quarterback, just to give you a little bit of perspective about where Brock Purdy is, look at this. The EPA per play, expected points added per play rankings for NFL QBs. Brock Purdy, 0.37 expected points added per play. Josh Allen's number 2 at 0.21. Brock Purdy's number is 76% better than Josh Allen. And it's over 100% better than Dak Prescott's. Like, you could double up Dak Prescott's number and it'd be 0.36. It would still be worse than Brock Purdy's. That's how far ahead Brock is of the rest of the field as far as his efficiency. And it's not just Purdy, it's also the entire offense. And I get it. We're dealing with all these MVP debates. And the truth of the matter is that the 49ers have 2 candidates on their team, in Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, but Purdy is the favorite for a reason because he plays quarterback. The last 10 MVP awards have gone to QBs. That's the nature of the league. You all know my feelings on it. I think that Brock Purdy is the most valuable player in football, while Christian McCaffrey is the best player in football. And it's not an issue for the 49ers at all. If you can have the most valuable and the best guy on your team, plus other guys who can score every single time they touch the ball, like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, among others, well, then you're going to have a team that roars when it comes to efficiency. And that's exactly what the 49ers have. I know in the Arizona video that I just showed, I talked about Charvarius Ward. He's playing at an all-pro level on the back end. Fred Warner didn't have the best game against the Arizona Cardinals, but Fred Warner is, I think, playing at an all-pro level at linebacker. I think he's the best in the game. And the fact that he didn't have his best game against Arizona means he's probably going to come out firing against Baltimore next week. Today, Kyle Shanahan updated everyone on the injuries, and he said that he's not sure yet on Javon Hargrave, who worked off on the side last week but didn't play in Arizona, and he's not sure on Eric Armstead, who seems a bit further away from returning. But he said both of those guys do have a chance to come back against the Ravens. I think that, the extra day might help in both of these cases. The 49ers don't play until Monday, so it is an extra day. And hell, this is a team that the only big weakness for the 49ers in Arizona was the tackling. They missed 16 tackles, which is a lot. It was the most missed tackles of the season for the 49ers. And if you go through the missed tackles on a week-by-week basis, they've had, a really good stretch to open the season, then a bad one while they had that losing streak. Then they got better out of the bye week. They're under 10 missed tackles a game consistently. And over the past 3, the 49ers have given up 12, 14, and 16 tackles, respectively. It's gotten worse and worse, which leads me to believe that the missed tackles for the 49ers are definitely correlated to fatigue. And Kyle Shanahan confirmed that today on his conference call. He said, we didn't have our defensive tackles on the front line with Hargrave and Armstead out. And then Kalia Davis got hurt. He suffered a high ankle sprain, so the second-year defensive tackle is going to be out for a few weeks. So the 49ers were operating a thin rotation. The Charvarius Ward pick 6, as big of a play as it was for the 49ers, actually kept the defense on the field longer. Those guys got gassed. Arizona stayed committed to running the ball, even though they were behind. And it didn't look good for the 49ers run defense because the tackling was just it. The domino effect that started with the fatigue up front definitely bled into the tackling. So will an extra day of rest before playing Baltimore help? It can't hurt. Everybody wants an extra bye. And again, this is why getting the bye week in the postseason is potentially so important for the 49ers. And I say potentially because it's not locked up yet, but with what happened today, with Drew Lock beating Philadelphia, and with the 49ers remaining schedule looking like this, with them, being able to afford one loss in these 3 games, they're that much closer to getting that first round bye. And for a team that's struggling a bit to tackle right now, with that probably related to fatigue, it is a big, big deal that Seattle was able to upset Philadelphia today up in the Pacific Northwest. The 49ers are a football team that has a juggernaut of an offense. And I think also potentially a juggernaut of a defense, but the defense is only going to play as well as it's rested. And if the defense does get a bye week, which it looks like it's going to get heading into this postseason, oh boy, buckle your seatbelts, because I think the 49ers can play top 3 ball on both sides of the coin. They're the far and away the best offense in football. That defense coming out of the bye week was playing as the number 3 unit in the game. They didn't play as the number 3 unit in the game against Arizona. They've been starting to stagger a little bit over the past couple of weeks. But if they can get rested, if they can circle the wagons, which is what a bye week will allow you to do, and they're going to be at home, so they'll have the crowd advantage, I think the 49ers can play as a top 3 defense, maybe even a top 2 defense with the talent that they do have. Again, all pros at every level. Bosa up front, Warner in the middle, Charvarius Ward on the back end. The rest can be huge, and Drew Lock and the Seattle Seahawks just got the 49ers significantly closer to attaining that rest. But boy, I do think the 49ers broke the Eagles. It's crazy. 10-1 before they played the 49ers, and then 0-3 after. I mean, one of the crazy stats from last year, as you take a look at the Eagles schedule moving forward, well, we'll see just how broken they are. If they lose one of these games, well, then I'm sure. And, you know, I'm certain at this point too. But last year, teams that played the 49ers, they went 0-15 the following week because the 49ers just punched them in the mouth. They were so physical, right? The 49ers play that style that not a lot of the league is used to. So this year, again, the 49ers are seeing teams that play them struggle the following week. But this is something completely at a different level with the Eagles. The Eagles were rolling. They had beaten Buffalo leading up to the 49ers game. It was the week before. And they've gone from 10-1 to 0-3 after playing the 49ers. All right, let's open this up to some questions. I'm going to make this a 49ers Q&A. I will say it is funny. We saw Seattle struggling today. They pulled out the win, but the fact that people pick Seattle to win the NFC West, given what you see now from the 49ers, which I think is a carryover of what Brock Purdy was showing from last year, and he's just gotten better. It is wild that people stepped up and picked Seattle to win the NFC West because they closed the gap. Yeah, right. They didn't close the gap. I still have an old text title up here on the screen. Let me put it up here. I was just going through the old ones. The 49ers sweep the Seahawks. 49ers beat both the Cowboys and the Eagles by 3 scores. So, it's, and this one, I put this one up after the Eagles lost to the Cowboys. It still applies now. Eagles lose, 49ers are the number 1 team in the NFC. It's just wild to me that people were picking against the 49ers at the start of this season. And you see the proof in the pudding right now. You see how all of these teams are playing. All right, let's get the 49ers Q&A banner up here on the screen. Ask your questions. Let's go for it. And again, don't forget the 76% gap, Brock Purdy over everyone else. I got to find my missed tackle tweet, and I've got to send something out, because the whole fatigue point that I made is, I think, very, very salient, and it obviously ties in perfectly with the Seattle Seahawks upsetting the Eagles today and allowing the 49ers to gain this stranglehold on the number 1 seed. There are clear signs that the 49ers defense is fatigued. The rising missed tackle rate is the biggest indicator. Therefore, a first-round bye would be massive. It'd give the 49ers a legit shot to deliver elite efficiency on both offense and defense through to playoff games. Boom. Let's get that up there. Maybe I share this one on the screen and we go from there. This was on my Twitter. Trending in sports, all caps. This is crazy. I'm putting 49ers Q&A up there, but I'm on Twitter or X or whatever they call it on the trending list. Trending in sports, all caps, frauds. Frauds, all caps. The Eagles and frauds and Big Dom, all three of those are trending. Wonderful. I'll even show you. You'll see. You'll see my page here. Hold on. Let me get this up on the screen. Okay, are you ready for this? Oh, Big Dom's not trending anymore. We got to get this up while frauds is still trending. I got a kick out of that. All right, this is what I just tweeted. Here are the trends on the side under Eagles and Seahawks, but there are clear signs that this 49ers defense is fatigued. The rising missed tackle rate is the biggest indicator. Therefore, a first-round bye would be massive. It'd give the 49ers a legit shot to deliver elite efficiency on both offense and defense through 2 playoff games. Not to mention, it's essentially a playoff win because you don't have to play in that wild card round. You minimize the chances of something weird happening. If you're the 49ers, you're clearly the best team in football. So you want to minimize the potential diversions. You want to minimize the potential weirdness. Adding a whole 60 minutes of playoff football in the wild card round, that adds a lot of potential weirdness. So what happened today in Seattle almost gave the 49ers that playoff win, almost gave them that wild card bye, which is big. All right, 49ers Q&A for real this time. I'm ready for you guys. Somebody asked, the 49ers have a free loss and they still lock up the number 1 seed. Yes, they can lose one of these 3, even if Philadelphia wins all 3 of their remaining games. Do I think that Wilkes plays extra DBs to account for the speed of Lamar Jackson on third downs? He'll play extra DBs if the coverage dictates that he needs to play extra DBs. So if there's an extra wideout or non-tight end in the formation. If the 49ers want to pull a linebacker off the field to cover, they'll do that. I don't think they're going to have extra DBs out there unless it's a third and very long against Lamar Jackson. If the Ravens can keep it at third and manageable against the 49ers and they goad them or lure them into putting extra DBs out there, the Ravens are a power run team. That's the glory of the Ravens, right? They get in manageable down and distance. You get slower personnel out there to combat the power run. And then Lamar Jackson can take it around the edge, or he could cut up the B gap with his speed against the slower personnel. So you can't go to smaller personnel against the Ravens if the down and distance allows them to unleash the power run on you. It's a tough team to play, and there's a reason why Lamar Jackson won the MVP in 2019, and the 49ers, in many ways, are going to have their hands full. It's going to be a great game, and it's very, very key, I think, that the 49ers get at least one of their defensive tackles, Javon Hargrave or Eric Armstead, back for this game. Spencer Burford is not playing well, according to this comment. John Feliciano is balling out. I agree with the second part of that for sure. I think Burford has been improving over the course of this season. I wouldn't just look at the PFF pass blocking score of Spencer Burford and be so sure that he's one of the worst guards in the league. I think he's a below average performer at this point, but some of the reach blocks that he delivers, I think that's why the 49ers like him out there. The pass protection, though, from John Feliciano has been a step up from what Spencer Burford was giving the 49ers. And in fact, even more than that, Spencer Burford has been John Feliciano has been the highest graded guard by PFF in all of football over the past 2 weeks while he's been starting instead of Spencer Burford. I think the 49ers want to platoon these guys, and I think they have every reason to do so if Spencer Burford does indeed return this week. Eric, thank you. If the Niners win the next 2 in a row, they will lock up the 1 seed, and yes, they can rest against the Rams. If they want to rest against the Rams, obviously you're going to want a little bit of rest regardless, but if you do have the 1 seed by that point, then you're going to have the bye, and we've seen teams take 2-week layoffs and then sputter to get going. a couple weeks later. So the 49ers are going to have to be careful about how they play that. I would just advise 1 week at a time. Oh, look, this is perfect. Can we get ahead of the rest players' complaints if the 49ers lock up number one early? Kyle coaches to win every game. And I think that you want to keep your your sword sharpened in that regard. I really do think there is something to taking your foot off the gas and then having to regain that momentum a little bit later. I do not think that it is easy. I think that's I remember an Indianapolis Colts team that lost in the playoffs with Peyton Manning back in the day. They really struggled because it was, I mean, the problem was they let their foot off the gas and they couldn't regain that momentum a little bit later on. There's one more comment, rightful one. I'm trying to find yours, but I can't find it. And there's too many comments here. But you asked, do you think you're asking about resting starters during the bye week? And I just answered that question. So thank you for your comment. Glad that I answered it with the other one. McCaffrey was not on the injury report today, so it seems that his knee is doing fine. What's for dinner? I had a burrito once I got back to San Francisco a little bit earlier in this video. I showed all the Arizona food, so that was lunch today. That was breakfast today. Ate well in Arizona. Ate well last night after the game as well, so you can go ahead and check that out once I'm done here with the live. You can rewind and see all the food that I ate in Phoenix. No, not Chipotle. I got Taqueria Cancun here in the Mission. Come on. Somebody is asking Chipotle. Why doesn't Jake Tonges get any targets? Well, Jake is on the practice squad. 49ers tight end out of Cal. He's not on the active roster. So he can't get targets if he's not in the game. Concern on stopping the run game, or is it pure fatigue? I think a lot of it is fatigue, but even early in the season, there were some concerns. I thought the 49ers fixed a lot of them at the bye week, but now they're rearing their ugly head again with the fatigue. So I would just look at it as something where the bye is going to be a really good thing for the 49ers if they can secure it. TBD on Armstead and Hargrave this week. The MVP undoubtedly, if the season ended right now, would be Brock Purdy. He's 76% more efficient than the second most efficient quarterback in the league. And we know the importance of the position. Best player, Christian McCaffrey. MVP, Brock Purdy. We talk about value and its most valuable player. He's making only about $800,000 this year. And this is the second most efficient season in NFL history from a quarterback at $800,000. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Brock Purdy is the MVP. Boso's not on the injury report. Diomede Lenoir's day-to-day with a rib contusion, to answer your question here. Andrew Luck jersey, I went to Stanford, and I like the little color balance in the background. I got the 17. Nobody knows what's on the back of the 17. I got Joe Montana, and I've got Andrew Luck back there. So we got red and we got blue on the wall. RC says Philadelphia was exposed. 49ers beat Philadelphia, and it was never the same. Yeah, it seems to me that might have happened. Now, Rick hopes the 49ers play the Eagles in the playoffs. Well, it's almost certain that Philadelphia would have to come to Levi's Stadium. That game would not be back east. What's the path to clinching the 1 seed? Just win if you're the 49ers. If you win and you get a Philadelphia loss this next week, I think you need a Dallas loss as well. I think you need both of those teams to lose. Then you have it. But if you win twice, you don't have to worry about anything that Philadelphia and Dallas do. 49ers will know exactly where they stand on Monday night based on what happens on Sunday. Mike says it's a massive live. We've got 2,367 live viewers. Damn right we do. That's fun. Look at this from Mike. I like this. Going to say this again. Perhaps it's Brock Purdy who's elevating his teammates more so often than them elevating him. Maybe, just maybe, he's that good. I mean, yeah, when you look at some of the numbers that Brock Purdy is putting up, And Jimmy Garoppolo was a good quarterback. He was undoubtedly a good quarterback, and he put up good efficiency numbers. But again, Brock Purdy is putting up otherworldly efficiency numbers. Like, this is just a different level. And when he's doing stuff that nobody has come close to doing prior to him in the system, I think you got to give flowers where they're due. Look at that. Purdy and a 76% gap between 1 and 2. So yes, Mike has a great point that I put down there at the bottom of the screen. Will the defensive line have the same plan for Lamar Jackson as Jalen Hurts? Probably a similar one, but Jackson, I think, is a better player than Jalen Hurts. So the 49ers are probably going to have to make some adjustments and have their own individualized game plan for Lamar. End of the day, principles in football stay the same. And you play a mobile quarterback, you don't want to let him get out of the pocket to run. You don't want to let him fire up the B gaps to run. So you have to have a disciplined pass rush. That's just a common universal truth. I'm looking through some of these comments. It's going crazy today because there's 2,400 of you in the room. When will Ray McLeod be eligible to return from injured reserve? That's coming up, I think, for the Rams game. I think, 4 weeks is the minimum time spent on IR. So if he's ready after 4 weeks, it will be for the Rams game. Obviously, I think some fans are a little bit on edge after Ronnie Bell looked to have fumbled there for a second before it was reversed. When will be the best time for the 49ers to lock up Brock Purdy? That's a question. Thank you. That's going to be after next season because he's not even eligible for a contract extension after this one. It's after year 3. I don't know if Debo is skilled to do, trained and skilled enough to do the punt returns. I know you could do the kickoff returns, but punt returns, they're a little bit more technical. If you just want high floor and you don't care about the ceiling, if you just say, hey, our offense is good enough, we don't need a return. Kyle Juszczyk is actually technically skilled to make a fair catch and not drop the punt. That might be the 49ers' next option if they don't trust Ronnie Bell back there. Where do I rank Purdy as the QB big picture, top 5? I mean, right now he's making a strong argument that he's the best quarterback in all football at this moment. Beyond that, I mean, you could say top 5, top 10. It doesn't really matter because everyone's dealing with his own set of circumstances, trying to lead a football team to wins. And at the end of the day, people remember championships. Tom Brady won titles. And Brock Purdy's a quarterback who wins because he does the small stuff right. He does the big stuff right. He does it all right. And he's got great teammates right now. You don't hold that against him. He's actually elevating the level of play of his teammates. So Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback. We can leave it at that. I think any other argumentation is pointless. The results speak for themselves. Detroit's also in there. Yeah. Detroit at 10-4. But all the 49ers have to do is win, and they'll be fine. It's just Detroit is definitely Detroit might be on the same tier as Philadelphia, and I don't think they're on the same tier as Dallas. I think Dallas is better than the Eagles, but it's just the 49ers and everyone else in the NFC, I think, is as simple as that. All right, everybody. Thank you. It's been fun. Nice little live here, 38 minutes. That's about enough. I just got back from Arizona. It's time for me to rest. It's been a fun 49ers Q&A. Check out the Arizona video. I played that a little bit earlier, and I have it as a separate post. You can check out the food from Phoenix. We move on to the 49ers Raiders week. 49ers Ravens week. the two number 1 seeds playing NFC and AFC at Levi Stadium. One of the biggest Week 16 games that we've seen in a long while. We'll see you soon.